Mesachta Zevachim Daf Mem Zayin Amar Aleph, we're starting from the fifth line from the top. The Gemara brings down the end of the Mishnah, the Shita Rabbi Yossi Sheina Machshava Elas El Hacha Ivet, that the Machshava, meaning the Kavanah of the Aveda, is the one that establishes the carbon, not the Machshava of the owner of the carbon, only the one that's doing the Maisa Aveda of the carbon. His Machshava counts, affects the carbon. Our Mishnah doesn't follow this Tana. The Tanya that we learned, I have heard that even the owners of the carbon could be mefagel the carbon. That if they had a machshava spiegel at the time when the kohen was doing the avodah of the carbon, the owner's machshava helps to be mefagel the carbon and to make the carbon into pigel. Versus Rabbi Yossi's words in the end of the Mishnah, that the machshava of the owner cannot affect the one that's doing the avodah. Rabbi had said, my time to Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yossi. What's the reason of Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yossi, that says that the owner could be mefagel, could affect the one that's doing the avodah, the person who's doing the ma'aseh. It says in the pasuk, it says akabar Hashem. And there, the Hikra Makav is referring to the owners being Makav, even though he's actually not doing the Hakrava, he's not doing the Aveda, but the Torah calls him the Makav, the owner, as the one who's doing the Aveda. And it says, Lo Yechashiv, he shouldn't have a Machshava Pigel. So that means even the owner could affect the one that's doing the Aveda. Zog the Gemara is now going to bring other shitas of different cases where the owner could affect another person's ma'isa. Abaye said, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Lazar, Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Kulus, Virilei, Zeh Mechashiv, that the owner could have a machshava, V'zeh Oived, and the one that's doing the Aveda, it could be affected, Havya machshava could be affected by the machshava of the owner, meaning the machshava of the owner could affect this other person's ma'isa. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yossi, what do we see? Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yossi, this that we just said, that we learned in the Braisa. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yossi said that the owner of the carbon could be mefagel the avodah of the kohen who's doing the avodah of his carbon, the owner could possibly with his own machshava the avodah that the kohen is doing. Rabbi Lezer, what do we see? Rabbi Lezer, the Tanakh that we lit in the Mishnah in Chulin is a Yisrael that's shoychet of Heimis Chulin Levit Gechaben. He's shachting it for a guy shchitasik sheda his shchitas kasha, because the guy you're gonna say is thinking Lavei Zara, but the one who's shachting it is that doesn't have in mind for the shchita of the Shem Avodah Zarah. That's what establishes the carbon. Rabbi Lezer Pesel. Rabbi Lezer pasel shchita, because the stam, the machshava of a goy, is for Avodah Zarah, and Rabbi Lezer holds the machshava of the owner of the behema could affect the ma'isa of the Yisrael that's shechting his behema, the goy's behema. Rabbi Shimon Elazar, what do we find? Rabbi Shimon Elazar says that the owner's machshava could affect the one that's doing the ma'isa. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, in the Geya, the Chiv of Melach Seitzav Shabbos, Klal Amar Rabbi Shimon Elazar. Rabbi Shimon Elazar said a klal, Kol Shein Kosh Latzniya, any min that's not fit to store, to watch it, it's not needed for a person. The Chein ain't matznim kamayo. So too, if it's something that's choshev, but only if it's a bigger volume. But it's not the derech for people to store such a small amount. But this one person, even this small amount was chaviv to him, or this non-essential object was chaviv to him, that he stored it. And another person came and took that object or that small amount and did haitzah from the Nischayev, the one that did the action of haitzah, is going to be chayiv with the thought of the owner who considers it as a chashav azach. If it's non-essential, he wouldn't be chayiv for hitzah. And for the person who did the hitzah, it's not essential to him. But since the owner considers it as a chashav azach, So therefore, even though the person who actually did the Maisa doesn't, he's going to be Chai for the Eitzah. So you see, the Machshav, the owner, could affect another person's Maisa. So you want to tell about you the last two Tanoim, Rabbi Lezer, who spoke about that the owner of the Behema could affect Pigul on the Avodah of the Kohen, and Rabbi Shimon Elazar Paskin that the Machshava of a person who's machshiv, a chayfetz which is non-choshev, could be mechayiv, the one who's doing the actual hatzah. Islu, they for sure hold, Rabbi Yossi, but again, Pigul, they for sure hold like Rabbi Yossi by Pigul, that the owner can be mefagel, the avodah of the kohen. Hashla b'chutz hamrinam, ma, doch when they get to the dinim that is outside the Beis HaMikdash, where it doesn't, there's no explicit pasuk or anything written about that the machshava helps, that a thought helps, only the action is what it counts. So, and you say the thought will help to passel the mice of another person, mifnim ibaya. But when it comes to inside the Beis HaMikdash by the Avedis Kabbanis, where there the Torah B'Feidah says that the machshava pigul helps the passel, of course they're both going to hold when it comes to machshava pigul, where the Torah explicitly states the isa of machshava, that the machshava helps. For sure, they'll both agree that it'll be pigul. Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi, less value, but Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi himself will not hold by the chutzlah, the two cases of either the shechita of a goy's behema, or by the heitzah, because doma b'fninu daminan, because maybe dafkim again to those dinim that are inside the Beis HaMikdash, ba'avidus hakabanis, that's what we say the machshavas habaylim help. But b'chutz lo yamrinan. When it comes to the dinim of bachutz, like shritus la'avidus kechavim, which is done by bachutz, and the Hitzah of Shabbos, where the Machshava is not written, that the whole topic of Machshava is that it affects anything is not written, the Rabbi Elazar will not hold like that. He's only said it by Avitzah Kabbanis. And Rabbi Shimon Elazar Paskin, that the Machshava's Bailim helps mitigate Hitzah of Shabbos, that the Machshava of one person who made it this item choshev in his eyes will affect that person who does the Ma'aseh Eitzah. Islay the Rabbi Elazar, he'll hold for sure that by Rabbi Elazar, when by the behema of a goy, that a yitzchach, the machshava of the Baal HaBehema will affect the he'll hold for sure will affect that it should be affect the sheikh to passel the shechita. Hashta b'Shabbos, I mean, because Ma'adach b'Shabbos, where the Gabi din Shabbos, we say that Machshavas Habaylam help that it should be that the other person should be chayv for the Heitzah, even though we don't find din Shabbos is compared to Avidus Kabbanis, but Avidus Kechavim Mebaya, he'll hold for sure that by Avidus Kechavim who Yid Shechs are coming for him, for sure he'll hold that the Machshav of the Goy will affect it, because the pasuk compares the Zvicha of Avodah Zarah to the Zvicha of Kabbalas LaHashem, to teach you that one who does L'Shem Avodah Zarah, of one of the Avodah Zarahs, even though the Avodah is not done that way, it's still going to be puzzle. So you see the Torah is makish and compares the Zvicha of Avodah Zarah to regular Kabbalas. Zog the Gemara, Rabbi Elazar, but Rabbi Elazar, less than Rabbi Shimon Elazar. Rabbi Elazar does not hold of Rabbi Shimon Elazar that the Machshavas Bailam help in the gate of Hitzah Shabbos, because Dilma Ba'avet Chachamim David, maybe only in his case where the Behema was of a guy and a Yid shechted it, it's going to be possible because of the Machshav of the guy, of the owner, the guy, because came befnim, because it's compared to the kabbanis of the regular kabbanis that were sacrificed b'fnim. Aval din Shabbos, when it comes to the din of Shabbos, melachas machshavas haser Torah. The Torah requires by Shabbos dafka melachas machshavas, and that the only way it can be a melachas machshavas is only when the person who's doing the action has to have a machshava that this is a chashva item, and he's doing a hitzah. But if the Baal HaChifetz doesn't consider it as anything, so it's not considered, he didn't have a mind for Eitzah, it's not going to be Eitzah. And that's why he won't be Chayv on Melech Shabbos, according to Rabbi Lezer. Okay. Hadna Allah Bei Shammai, we shall return to you, Pedig Bei Shammai. We're starting the fifth Pedig, Pedig Ezel Mekayna. Zog the Mishnah Ezel Mekayna Shal Zevachim, in which places they established for each carbon, meaning its place of Shechita, its place of Kabbalas Adam, its place of Zikas Adam. Kochim, the meaning the Chatas, Oshem Oila, Vishamei Tzibur, Shechitas Matzafin. Their Shechita was on the northern side of the Azara. Par v'soshal Yom HaKippurim, that the Kohen Gadol was Makiv, b'Yom HaKippurim. So the par was Mechaper for the Kohen Gadol and his household and his brothers who are Kohanim. And the Soy here was Mechaper for the Bnei Yisrael, except for the Soy Mishtaleach, which was sent to Azazel. But this one Soy that was Mechaper for all the Bnei Yisrael was done also thinking just with the Pash, Chitas Batzafim, Kibbul Dam B'Kli and Batzafim. And the receiving of the Dam B'Kli was in the northern part. And the blood that's required to be sprayed so when it came to the Par V'Soyer, it was sprayed in the Kodesh HaKadoshim towards the Arin between the Badim. And then there was another 8 sprays when it was in the Heichel towards the Pareiches. They sprayed on the 4 corners of the Mizbeach Hazav and 7 times on the Mizbeach Hazav itself. That's only, of course, by the Par Soyer, but when it comes to the other, by the Par they were done elsewhere. We're soon going to get to it. Even if it's missing one spray of blood, it's ma'akev the kapara shiyari adam, the remnants of the blood that's left over in the keli. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, they would pour it down on the west foundation of the Mizbeach HaKitzim. But if they didn't pour down the remnants of the blood left in the keli on the foundation, it didn't hold back the kapara. That's the parhelam dava. Parhelam dava is that the Sanhedrin made a erroneous psak and everybody followed it. Or parkoyin HaMashiach, that the Kohen HaMashiach made a erroneous psak and everybody followed it. So the psarim is not eaten by the kahanim like other chatei chatzanis, only it's burnt outside Yerushalayim. The city chatei that the tzibur brings for a chet of avodah zarah is similar to palam dava, and it's burnt michutz Yerushalayim. Shchitasa batzafin. The slaughtering was in the northern part of the Azara. The receiving of the blood was in the kli sharis batzafin. Here it says that the blood was the requiring spray was only by the pareiches in the heichel towards the pareiches, and on the mizbech hazav, but not bein habadim. Bein habadim meaning in the Kodesh HaKadoshim they didn't spray for any blood of the par halam dava and the par kohen HaMashiach. Matana ma'akobes one matana. If it's missing, it's ma'akav the kapara shiyari adam, the remnants of the blood. If these matanas they would pour down the western foundation of the Mizbeach HaChitzen. If he didn't pour the remnants into the foundation, if he didn't hold back the kapara. Side the par v'soshal Yom HaKippurim. Side the param and sofim, or sinu and sofim, which is the par halam dava and par kohen HaMashiach. The sofim ha'beis hadashen. They were burned in a special place outside Yerushalayim, where they would take out all the extra ash outside in that place. That's with from the Mizbeach HaChitzim, where they would take it outside Yerushalayim. So let us learn also right at the Reish of the Mishnah. It says you should have added. Why didn't he add that? Because there it's also batzafin. And you want to keep in the ikra. Asham said the kibul dam biyadu. since there is Hasham Tzera, which the receiving of the blood is with the literal hand of the Kohen Gadol, not with the Kli Shareis. Shairei, that's why the Mishnah left it out, and he didn't learn it because it's not universal with all the other kabbanis. The other kabbanis is Bikli Shareis, and this one was with a hand, so he didn't want to include it together with the other kabbanis. Is that so? That the Kabbalah Hadam of Hasham Tzeder is biyad? Well, the Tana learned befedish in the Mishnah the opposite. Lekamon Hashem knows Hasham Tzeder shchitos matzav bekibil domen bechli sharis matzav. And it says befedish that Hashem knows it, and Hasham Tzeder it says the shchita was matzafin and the receiving of the blood bechli sharis was matzafin. And the Gemara Meikara to begin with, when the Tana learned the Reish of our Mishnah Sava bekibil domen beyadu. He thought that he was talking about the receiving of the dam of Hasham Tzeder was with the hand, the chelik of the blood that the kohen would receive with the hand. That's why sheyari. That's why he left it out, because he was talking about that kohen. But since, like we said before, it's not enough just to receive the kli sharis, but you have to. But since it's impossible that it should be without Kli Shareis, so then later on in the Mishnah, Hadatanya, he learned it later on in the Mishnah. So that where do we see that Hasham Tzeder needs Kabbalah Sadam, Gam B'Yad, Gam B'Kli? So where do we see that it's also B'Yad? The Tanya that we learned in Teres Kainim, it says by Hasham Tzeder, V'lokach HaKoyin Adam HaOs Menos LaKoyin, Al Tnuch Oizen HaMetar HaYimanis. So I would have thought that blood that he's putting on the ear of the Mitzvah, the right ear. So I would have thought that's done bikli. Talmud Lema comes the pasuk and teaches us v'nasan hakoyin, and we compare the lekicha to the nesina. Ma nesina, just like the nesina itself, the atzmai, is done with the finger of the koyin, shal koyin, meaning with the finger of the koyin. Af lekicha, so too, when it says in the pasuk, that says in that pasuk is ba'atzma shal koyin, and it's not with a kli. So Yochel after the Mizbeach case. So I would have thought that chiluk of the Dama Asham that's sprayed on the Mizbeach, it should be Daka B'Yad and Ulay B'Kli. Because the Dam of the Asham Mitzvah that is sprayed on the Mizbeach is just like the Dam of other Kabbanis. And he brings down, so Talmud Leimer, Ki Chachatos HaAsham Ulakoyin. The Torah compares Asham Mitzvah to Chatos, that just like the din is by chatas, so too is the din by the asham of avid zechavim. I'm sorry, by avid sakoyin. So too it's like just like the din by chatas, so too the din is by the asham avid sakoyin. What do we see? That ma chatas to a kli, just like a chatas needs a kli sharis to receive its blood. Af asham toin kli, so too a asham needs a kli sharis for receiving of the blood. The dam of the Asham Mitzvah that's sprayed on the Mizbeach needs a Kli Shareis. But the dam that was placed on the goof of the one of the Mitzvah is Dafke B'Yad. And you can see this din of the Chatas doing a Kli, it needs the Kli Shareis. We learn out from when it says it says by Chatas, V'lokach HaKoyin Dam HaChatas, and it says by Oila, Vayikach Moshe Chatzi Adam Vayosem Ba'agogos. So you see, and Agogos is the Kli Shareis. So just like by Oila, it says Vayikach Lashon Lekicha with the Kli Shareis. That's how we know the same din is applicable to a Chatas. It's B'Kli Shareis. And once you know by a Chatas, so you say Kikach Chatas Hashnu, that when it came to spraying the blood on the Mizbeach, it had to be with a Kli Shareis. But b'negeya to the dam that they placed on the goof of the Mitzvah, that was done b'yad, just like by the oil. So we find that Ash Mitzvah Shnei Kahanim Mekabel Haznabe. There were two different Kahanim that received the blood. Echad b'yad, echad b'kli. One with the hand and one with the Kli. The one with the hand is referring to the blood that was placed on the goof of the Kain, on his thumb, on his toe, on his right ear, all on the right. And we learn it out from the oil. The oil they sprayed 7 times, and then they would put with the finger of the oil. It says v'taval, and the finger, he used his finger to place it on the goof of the mitzvah. So the one that received the blood with the kli that was used for the mizbeach, was given on the right lobe of the right toe and right thumb. That was done biyad.